It's one of the great unspoken ironies of modern British politics. The very people howling the loudest about immigration are the ones whose cherished economic ideology made it absolutely necessary. If you're furious that the UK has to import foreign labour, don't blame migrants. Blame neoliberalism. Because neoliberal economic policies are the reason we're not having children. And that's the reason we need to import workers from abroad. I'm Mike Sivier of Vox Political. Buy me a coffee or donate more than £20 and I'll give you a free book. More on that later. Subscribe to the video mailing list, like and comment on this clip, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. But watch this first, and let's get down to the dirty details. This isn't about some sudden loss of cultural values or personal lifestyle choices. The reason people aren't having kids isn't because they've all decided to spend their lives on TikTok, nor because women have all turned into career-obsessed cat ladies. The truth is far more structural and far more damning. According to a July 2025 study from the Institute of Labour Economics entitled An Economic Theory of Sexual Exchanges and Human Capital, declining fertility isn't random. It's the predictable result of economic conditions that make stable relationships, intimacy, and childbearing harder, riskier, and less rewarding. And what's the biggest driver? Economic insecurity. The kind that has been deliberately manufactured by 4 decades of neoliberal economic policy. The UK's birth rate is collapsing, and it's no wonder. Decades of privatisation, deregulation, austerity, and wage suppression have made life unlivable for millions. Real wages are stagnant. Housing is unaffordable. Energy bills are extortionate. Childcare costs rival a second rent. The NHS is drowning, with more than 7 million people on waiting lists. What kind of psychopath would look at this situation and say, "Oh yes, now's the perfect time to bring a child into the world"? If you don't know where you'll be living next year, if your employment contract ends in 6 months, if you can't get a GP appointment or afford a dental checkup, it's not just parenthood that feels out of reach. It's intimacy itself. Stress, anxiety, and economic pressure kill relationships. They kill libido. They literally make it difficult for people to have sex. According to the research, sex, intimacy, and fertility are shaped by rational economic decisions. It suggests that sexual behavior and fertility are outcomes of time allocation between paid work, including sex work, paid sex, unpaid sex, for example in stable relationships, and consumption. These decisions depend on income and wealth, obviously, wage opportunities, gender norms, relational skills, that's social and emotional skills, technological shifts, for example, digital sex, and social stigma. Digital platforms have lowered the cost, both emotional, logistical, and reputational, of accessing sexual gratification through virtual means. This leads to less investment in unpaid intimacy, meaning less sex in stable relationships, and this in turn means fewer children. These changes are not biological or moral, they're economic reallocations of time and effort. It's easier to go online. Moving on from this, we find that income and job security determine whether people seek or sell sex. People with low income or unstable jobs are more likely to sell it, especially women in gendered labour markets. those with higher income are more likely to buy sex, especially in places with lower prices, for example, sex tourism. This implies that inequality, job precarity, and economic shocks reshape sexual markets. So relational skills, essential for what the research calls unpaid intimacy, are eroding. Economic and technological conditions, social media, working from home, pandemic effects, have reduced opportunities to develop relational skills. This reduces people's ability to form and maintain relationships, especially unpaid ones like marriage. And the result is that even when people want stable relationships, they're less able to find and keep them, leading to declining fertility. This new research confirms what many have suspected. Fertility rates are dropping not because people won't, but because they can't. And what little sexual activity does happen often doesn't lead to babies because it's casual, unstable, or fully decoupled from long-term plans. Why? Because those plans no longer feel viable. The same economic squeeze that turns people into overworked, underpaid renters has made traditional family structures harder to achieve. Neoliberalism devalued human stability and rewarded financial speculation. It is no surprise that fewer people want or can afford to build families in such a climate. And here's the kicker. The very system that destroyed the birth rate now depends on immigrants to keep the economy running. The right loves to push paranoid fantasies about a, and I quote, great replacement. But the reality is far simpler and more damning. The UK is importing labour because successive neoliberal governments gutted the conditions that once made domestic population growth possible. You want fruit picked, care homes staffed, lorries driven, NHS wards run? Someone has to do it. And since the country has made it nearly impossible for native-born Brits to afford kids, that someone increasingly comes from abroad. And what do the right-wing press blame for this? Not the policies that created a precarious, over-financialized economy. Not the parties that underfunded the NHS, gutted housing, and slashed social safety nets. No, they blame migrant workers. They blame the very people who are propping up the system that neoliberalism broke. This is the final absurdity of the neoliberal project. It dismantled the social contract, drove birth rates into the floor, made stable families a luxury, and now blames outsiders for the predictable consequences of its own success. It is a death spiral of hypocrisy. The solution is not more racism, more nationalism, or more incentives to get people breeding. The solution is to undo the economic model that has brought us here. Guarantee secure, affordable housing. Fund public services properly. Provide free or low-cost childcare. Raise wages. Give people enough certainty and hope that the future seems worth investing in. If we don't, the UK will continue to rely on immigration, and frankly, that's not a bad thing. What is bad is demonizing the very people we need while refusing to fix the system that made them necessary. So, the next time you hear a right-wing pundit complain about immigrants taking over, remind them who hollowed out this country in this first place. It wasn't immigrants, it was neoliberalism. And if they still don't get it, perhaps they should ask themselves why the economy is bursting with 0 hours contracts, but not with babies. I've been Mike Sivier, and it's time to buy me that coffee now. Donate more than £20 and I'll give you a free copy of my reissued first book, Strong Words in Hard Times. Subscribe to the video mailing list, please. Like and comment on this video clip and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do all that, you'll be helping keep this channel alive, and then you'll be able to see me in the next one.